I got some great collectible stuff, and I wanted to share some with you, Mr. Last, and I thought the people would be interested also because another Chris Swisher, saw him there, and he is a massive collector of vintage photos and memorabilia, and he had gotten some stuff from the Fred Ward collection. Fred Ward, of course, was the NWA promoter in Columbus and Macon, Georgia from, God, sometime probably in the 50s through the 80s.
What, is Ralph hard up for money?
Probably. Old Rooster. I used to call him, his son-in-law, Ralph Freed, he used to call him Rooster. It's the only person I ever heard Frank Morrell just couldn't stand. He said, I just want to slap that guy down and piss on him in front of the boys. But anyway, so there were some things from Fred Ward's collection and also from the Tennessee booking office. But for example, in the old days when the World Heavyweight Championship changed hands, either the president of the National Wrestling Alliance or the host promoter of the match in which the title changed hands would send a telegram to all the other NWA members announcing the title change, because that was the quickest method of communication back then. And I have in my hand the telegram sent by Sam Muchnick to Fred Ward on January 8th, 1966 at 7:19 a.m.
Oh, wow.
That says, Gene Kiniski, 275 pounds of Edmonton, Canada, tonight beat Lou Thez 2 out of 3 falls to win the World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship as recognized by the National Wrestling Alliance. Stop. Thez won the first fall 18:08. Kiniski took the second fall 4:28. Kiniski won the deciding fall in 1:17. Stop. A capacity crowd of more than 12,000 saw the thrilling battle at St. Louis's Kiel Auditorium. Signed, Sam Muchnick, President, National Wrestling Alliance. That is in my hand. What do you got to say about them apples?
That's pretty cool.
But here's something else. Hold on. Wait a minute. Got to find it. Keep going. Here we go.
Hey, Jim, for the listeners who are too young, explain what the stop is, because they may not get that.
Are you fucking ribbon?
No.
I guess they wouldn't, would
Why,
they?
if you were born in, let's say, 1995, you may not even know what a telegram is.
Oh, boy. The younger generation. When you needed to contact someone urgently, there was no such thing, obviously, as email or computer. There was a telephone. However, sometimes people would not be at their phones. You could have a telegram delivered anywhere from Western Union. And also because in cases of notifying multiple people, anyway, it was an urgent message. You called Western Union or you went to the Western Union telegraph office that was in every town, and you sent a telegram, which is basically you gave the operator either verbally or written down the message that you wanted to convey, and they typed it out across the telegraph wires, and it was printed out by a printing apparatus on the other side, and then a delivery boy went and delivered it. They knocked on your hotel room door, or they went to your house, or wherever the fuck that they were told to go to that you'd be at, and they delivered this urgent message. And the stop is period. When you're giving, especially if you're giving this verbally over the air, so-and-so defeated so-and-so tonight with an inside cradle, stop. The match lasted 46 minutes, stop. That was a period. That meant start a new sentence. This is another one to Fred Ward from Jack Atkinson. And this was sent on December 11th, 1975. Terry Funk defeated Jack Briscoe with a cradle hold in 28 minutes tonight, December 10th in Miami, Florida, and is now recognized as the new world's heavyweight champion by the National Wrestling Alliance. But the third one is the one that got my attention, because I don't know if this exact figure is out publicly. I have not done the research, but is there an exact attendance figure that has been public knowledge until now for Starrcade 83? Not only the live attendance, but also the closed circuit, everything, the overall attendance?
Nothing that is firm. I mean, I think people have figured things out. Tim Hornbaker probably had something in his book, but I don't know of this is what was the official figure. Is that what you
Well, from Jimmy Crockett on November 25th, 1983, Western Union Mailgram. We'd gone from telegram to mailgram because it was modern day, 1983. And this is to Fred Ward. The message is, 54,745 people saw Harley Race lose to Ric Flair in Greensboro, North Carolina at 11:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, November 24, 1983. Signed, Jimmy Crockett. He was a man of few words. 54,745 would be the combined attendance of the crowd in Greensboro and all the closed circuit locations.
And that was in a snowstorm, right?
Yeah, it was. Not everywhere. They had closed circuit in fucking Puerto Rico, I think. That's why Carlos Colon was on the card. But in Greensboro, yes, there was snow. But that and there would this was not for public release. These telegrams, these were legitimately how that the NWA president at the time notified the NWA members. This was probably one of the last ones that was ever sent, because they got out of that shortly afterwards in the 80s. But there's no reason for him to lie to one of the other promoters who probably had a closed circuit fucking telecast in his territory anyway of this. So this was inter-office communication, as they say.
Who do you think was doing it for them? I mean, 66 is before Matisic started in St. Louis as Sam's assistant. So, I mean, it's not like Sam Mushnick's going down to Western Union and doing this, is it? I mean, I know Fritz von Erich isn't.
Well, I would imagine whoever was working in the office with Sam, didn't he have it at various points? Bobby Bruns was his booker. Pat O'Connor was in the office. Somebody would have literally either gone or phoned the Western Union office and relayed this information.
Oh, so you could phone
and
them.
You could phone them.
Okay.
Yes. And the thing is, they would have to send it to, how many NWA members were there? 30. So they'd have to send it to 30 different people, but it was the same message. As a matter of fact, I have here a Western Union actual telegram. It says telegram from 1957, June 15th. This is not from the NWA. This is from Jim Barnett and Fred Kohler to Roy Welch, care of the Maxwell House Hotel in Nashville, Tennessee. Edward Carpentier defeated Lou Thez via disqualification in Chicago tonight and is recognized by Illinois as the world's heavyweight wrestling champion.
Wow, that is amazing. I mean, that's one of the great stories in wrestling history. And of course, it's that title claim which leads to the WWA in LA and so many other things. I've never heard of a telegram like that, though. That's amazing.
Well, and see, the thing is, and for the folks who don't know, at one point, Edward Carpentier was so popular as a babyface and such a huge draw in Montreal and some of the other major cities that Thez was going to put the belt on him by a disputed decision and then do an international tour and then come back and clean it up, right? So this is proof of the disputed decision in that Roy Welch was an NWA member, Lou Thez was the NWA champion, Jim Barnett and Fred Kohler were in the Chicago office at the time, not officers of the NWA. And since Carpentier beat Thez by disqualification, same thing happened, remember, with Leo Namalini in San Francisco. He won by disqualification, and they claimed he was the champion out there for a couple of months or whatever the fuck. But he's recognized by the Illinois State Athletic Commission as world's champion. They were starting the paperwork trail of the disputed decision, controversial decision, and then there were numerous instances, reasons why they rethought their decision. One is that Carpentier was so valuable to Montreal that, the Montreal promoter helped me at the time. Was it Bowser?
In Montreal in 57?
Well, who was the Montreal promoter? The Montreal promoter didn't want to give up dates on Carpentier. Eddie Quinn, that's who it was, who was friends with Lou Thez. And that's one of the reasons why this deal was put together. But then Eddie Quinn didn't want to lose dates on Carpentier in Montreal, where he was drawing 10, 15,000 people a show or whatever, to travel the entire North American continent as the NWA champion. And they started having second thoughts about taking the focus away from having one real world champion, which was the start of the NWA, and the reason for it. So they went back on it. But Carpentier was able to take that recognition that he had and, like you said, go out to California and start the WWA. And then when Vern Gagne was pissed because the NWA was mad at him. He was the U.S. champion on Chicago TV in the 50s and was getting the same kind of deal, 10% of the gate, as the NWA champion. They wouldn't put the NWA belt on him. So when he bought into Minneapolis and started the AWA, he used the Carpentier victory, amongst others, to create him, and then challenged Thez to meet him, and et cetera, and then established himself as the AWA champion.
Well, I think Carpentier, and again, it's a little bit of a different kind of history because the AWA, Vern buys Minneapolis and Minnesota with Carbo, but there's also, is it Omaha? Omaha's running as the AWA. And
Omaha was a different territory.
And I think that's where Carpentier's title became the AWA title. And in Minnesota, Vern is actually the first AWA champion. Because I just did a segment with George Shire, which is going to be on episode 100 of 605, talking about this. Because a lot of people,
right, smarty pants,
a
you're
lot of
right.
people are erroneously claiming that Pat O'Connor was the first AWA champion, and George is out to prove that is ridiculous.
No, that is ridiculous. It was the challenge was made: if O'Connor won't meet me, then I'll declare myself the champion.
Yeah,
but he never. As a matter of fact, and here on the other side, by the Western Union telegram from Muchnick to Roy Welch on January 10th, 1959, Pat O'Connor of Wellington, New Zealand, won World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship here tonight from Dick Hutton, and is now recognized as champion by NWA. Stop. New champion will be available for booking from this office starting in February. Stop. Please wire or write if you desire his services. Regards, Sam Muchnick.
And then the next stop was all the promoters taking a sigh of relief that Dick Hutton was no longer the champion.
But I got this telegram. This was from 1959. There's also a Western Union telegram from May 29, 1951. Have you ever heard of the Turkish wrestler Ali Pasha?
Yes.
Okay, this is to Nick Goulas at the Tulane Hotel in Nashville. All the wrestling offices were in hotels back in those days. From Nick Goulas, or to Nick Goulas at the Tulane Hotel from Ali Pasha. This is the message. Wife sick, I stay home.
Frame that one. That's awesome.
Yes. And then there's another telegram to Roy Welch from January 26, 1953. A little wrestling history here. Roy Welch, P.O. Box 581, Dyersburg, Tennessee. I have today sold my booking rights on girl wrestlers in the 48 United States to Mildred Burke, retaining all my booking rights outside the United States. Mildred will honor all bookings already made. Please confirm bookings already made to her and contact her for future bookings at her temporary address, Attractions Incorporated, Room 709, 145 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Telephone Fletcher 4531. Agreement closed in office of Sam Muchnick, President, National Wrestling Alliance. Regards, Billy Wolf.
Wow.
This was Billy Wolf's notification to Roy Welch, who had one of the biggest booking offices in the country in Nashville.
Maybe the biggest.
That he was no longer going to be supplying the girl wrestlers.
I'm fascinated, too, by the whole idea that it was done with Sam Muchnick as the witness of this transaction.
Yes. In the office, it says, agreement closed in office of Sam Muchnick. So they had to go to St. Louis to make sure that was done right. And then 10 years later, on March 19, 1964, a letter on the letterhead of Girl Wrestling Enterprises from Columbia, South Carolina. Dear Nick, enclosed, you will find all publicity on the 3 girl midgets that are starting in your territory on March 26th in Chattanooga and finish on Saturday, April 18th. I will call you sometime Monday, as you suggested, concerning the big girls. Thank you and hope to see you soon. Respectfully, Moolah.
Well, hold on. It begs
3 girl midgets.
That's what I was going to say. It begs the question. I understand 2 or I understand 4, but why 3?
I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. And then there's a letter from Leroy McGurk, actually a letter, not a telegram. This was the junior heavyweight title, so I guess they figured what the fuck is not. But notifying Fred Ward that Ken Mantell of Provo, Utah won the NWA World's Junior Heavyweight Championship from Danny Hodge, December 19th, 1973 at the Fairgrounds Coliseum in Jackson, Mississippi. Hodge won the first fall with a rolling double wrist lock in 9 minutes. Mantell came back to take the second fall in 12 minutes with a suplex and then won the deciding fall in 8 minutes with a high knee drop and a body press. Pictures and publicity on Mantell will be sent to you in the near future, and the new champion is available for booking through the Leroy McGurk office, 100 Civic Center, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And lastly,
to the people who think the junior heavyweights were shit on, they don't get a telegram, they get a letter.
Yeah, they get, but at least Leroy signed it. I also got a booking sheet from the week of February 7th, 1946 from the Nashville booking office.
Oh, wow.
And they supplied talent. I'm still trying to figure, because this is a typed sheet and it's towns across with names on the bottom, days on the, I'm still trying to figure out the legend, as they say, of how to read this thing. But it's clear that I think they were going Monday through Saturday, but they were supplying talent for up to 5 towns a night. They sent Henry Harrell, Tex Riley, and a couple guys named Hall and Ralph to Blytheville, Arkansas. Murfreesboro, Tennessee got Rowdy Red Roberts and Lester Welch and somebody named Mask and somebody named Peters. Jonesboro, Arkansas, this is all one night. Jonesboro, Arkansas got Herb Welch, and so I think Speedy LaRue possibly, and a couple other guys. Union City got Savoldi, which I assume would be, back in those days, would be Joe. Roy Welch went to Dyersburg because he lived there. Wild Bill Caney was in Birmingham, but they were Jackson, Tennessee, Caruthersville, Missouri, Clarksville, Tennessee, Dalton, Georgia, Glasgow, Kentucky, Paris, Tennessee, Corinth, Mississippi, and Hopkinsville, Kentucky all ran on the same night. Same night, Nashville, Tennessee, Paducah, Kentucky, Shelbyville, Tennessee, Glasgow, Kentucky, and Centralia, Missouri. The same night, Knoxville, Tennessee, Sikeston, Missouri, Bowling Green, Kentucky, Jonesboro, Arkansas, and Fayetteville, I assume, Tennessee. But all the, and the Green Shadow was on one of these, and Lillian Ellison was down in 1946. Eddie Gossett.
Oh, wow.
On this card, which I, would assume would have been close to his rookie year in the business. So that's and finally, enough of this trip down memory lane, except I also got a poster printed. This is an original. I've had a reproduction, but I got an original poster promoting the Fabulous Fargos, Jackie and Don Fargo. When they had sold out Madison Square Garden and were traveling around the country, Pfeffer had these posters made up. And wait a minute. I got to read some of these quotes. It's a picture. It's about 11 by 17 poster. And it's a picture of Jackie and Don with their arms around each other, holding those the World Tag Team titles around their waist, the ones with the big eagles that they dropped to Rocca and Perez in the Garden. And it says, "Look who is coming next week, the one and only Fabulous Fargo Brothers, world's claimant tag team champions. Jack Pfeffer presents, direct from New York, Madison Square Garden, sellout $62,000 house, breaking box office records. The Fabulous Fargo Brothers, the world's most colorful tag team champions. You love to hate them, but they are thrilling. Don't miss. They are incomparable. The most colorful strutting tag team champions in the world, sold out and turned away thousands in Madison Square Garden." You can tell Jack Pfeffer wrote in sound bites. And
he's a less violent Bob Loose.
Yes, instead of blood, kill breed, vicious beast. And at the bottom it says, "The strutting, arrogant Fargo Brothers here in this arena next week." And they would put this up in the ticket window at the box office of the arena the week before the Fargos showed up, so that you would automatically know, oh shit, I got to get my tickets because these big stars are going to be there. And I have an original Maurice Tillett, the French Angel poster, also by Pfeffer from the 40s.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
It said, wait a minute. It says, "America's foremost manager and promoter, Jack Pfeffer, brings him alive." That was the Swedish Angel. I'm sorry, not the French, but the Swedish Angel. "The world's ugliest wrestler, a puzzle to scientists. He'll scare the wits out of you. See him here next week." And that was the way they did it.
Boy, Pfeffer really had his freak shows. I mean, just the blimp. I mean, just think about everyone he hyped up in that same manner. Like a carnival barker. More than any other wrestling promoter, like a carnival barker.
And one more thing before I go also, and I haven't even had a chance to look at this yet, and probably won't for the next several weeks. Thank you, customers at JimCornette.com. But from Chris James, Mark's brother, through Chris Swisher, where does he get these wonderful toys? The last piece of the puzzle. I now possess here at the castle. I can't call them Rolodexes because that would be fancy. You know those the metal file card boxes like your mom used to keep recipes in?
Yeah.
3 of those jam-packed the address files for every wrestler that appeared for the Nashville booking office, Nick Goulas and Roy Welch, some of it in Christine Jarrett's handwriting, going back to the fucking early 60s, maybe the late 50s. I don't know. But every wrestler, their address at the time, notes and things, and stuff is stapled to it. Untorn tickets from Louisville at the Gardens in 1970, and just all kinds of stuff. That was actually the set of wrestler information that they kept in the Nashville office, and that Teeny was in charge of for many years. I possess that now.
That's pretty cool.
I thought you'd even be going more ape shit over that.
Have you gone through it? Have you looked through it and seen any things?
No,
that stand out?
that's why I just said no. I haven't even had a chance to go through it. You don't listen to a word I say, do you? When we do this program,
I listen to some words.
Some words.
I listen to like half the words.
If you listen to half the words, then you can put together a decent representation of what I'm saying. Anyway, so thank you everybody in Charlotte. I'd spent a fucking fortune before the doors opened the first day on all this stuff, but thank you everybody in Charlotte that I bought stuff from, that bought stuff from me. I'm sorry I didn't bring enough shirts.